Hello everybody, my name is Dirk Roosendans. I'm working for the company Total Energies. I'm working in the EPSC direction, more specifically in the major risk division. And today I will give you a short presentation on process safety fundamentals. First, a couple of basics related to process safety. Process safety, the principles are not very complicated to explain. It's primarily to make sure that the design is right, make sure that we construct the design as intended, that we inspect, maintain our equipment as foreseen, and also that we operate our assets according to sound principles. Not forgetting, of course, that these principles depend to a large extent on leadership, example, but also on collective commitment of the entire chain. Even with the best leaders, if we do not have a committed workforce, it will be very difficult to deploy these principles. Again, these principles are not very complicated. The complication is on the deployment, like in so many things. I will explain this a bit more in detail on this slide, where I put a couple of numbers to see the relative importance of these principles. We have usually very good designs, but it happens that now and then that we see some issues related to designs, not forgetting that a lot of our assets were built decades ago, not according to the most recent specifications. So we see now and then that there are some issues with the design, but this is a minority. We see that from time to time we have issues related to inspection and maintenance of equipment. The focus of this speech is not that much on design, construction, maintenance, inspection, is more on how we operate our assets. And that's the operating integrity. And you will see there in the green boxes a couple of examples of the issues we might encounter when we speak about design integrity, construction integrity, but also operating integrity. So this presentation will focus on the operating part of these principles, because even with the best possible design, even with the best possible construction, and even with the best possible maintenance and inspection programs, if we do not address the operating part, well, we are missing roughly 50% of our loss of containment scenario. So sooner or later, we have to be involved in addressing the operating part of process safety. And that's the foundation of this presentation. So addressing operating integrity. Now, it means that we have to, in a way, to make everybody aware of what that means, in very simple wording, to put a focus. When we speak about operating integrity, what does it mean? What are the challenges? What are the issues? And be able to explain that to the workforce in a set of very simple rules. And this is why in our industry we are developing what we call process safety fundamentals. So a couple of basic principles that we have to apply if we want to make sure that we do not repeat loss of containment incidents and accidents. Now, the first company that initiated that principle of process safety fundamentals was a company Shell. That's more than 10 years ago, where they tried to visualize about 10 principles using pictograms in an attempt to highlight the operating issues we are facing day to day. Now, since then, a lot of professional organizations have seen the benefit of working this way. Again, it's not about inventing new rules. The principles are known for many decades. It's about presenting it in a novel method, in a very pragmatic, in a very easy to understand way. So since Shell has been introducing those principles, well, other organizations have seen the interest. Here you see the process safety fundamentals as developed by IOGP, the International Oil and Gas Producers Organization. They've seen the interest, and it will not be a surprise that the principles they promote are more or less the same than the Shell's ones. So there is no rocket science in there. We all are facing the same issues when we speak about operating integrity. Also, EPSC, European Process Safety Center, has seen the interest to develop 18 process safety fundamentals, and you could ask why 18 and not 10 like GP or Shell? Well, quite simply because EPSC is not only including oil and gas companies, it's a bit larger. You have also pharmaceutical industry, you have agro industry, you have metallurgical industry. That means that we need to broaden a bit the concept. But again, concept is still the same. Let us focus on the operating issues that can pose issues, and let's have a discussion about these. We've seen that some companies have started to develop their own set of process safety fundamentals. Here are a couple of examples. Why? Because they feel it's important for them to have fundamentals that are reflecting their issues, not necessarily the ones that were proposed or developed by professional organizations. They said, hold on, for us it's important that we list the fundamentals that are relevant for our business. So you see that some companies say we will develop our own, and again, it's not a surprise that many of them are the same ones than the process safety fundamentals published by Shell, by EPSC, by IGP. So it's not a unique list of fundamentals available on this planet. It's about making sure that we address operating integrity and to make sure that we are addressing the right principles, and that may vary from industry to industry. No companies are the same. Even companies in the same sector, they might be facing different issues, and that is sometimes reflected in the number and especially the type of process safety fundamentals that you can find in their manuals. Now here an example of one of the EPSC process safety fundamentals. It's a one-pager, so it's important to keep things simple. It's not about endless pages, difficult to read. The basic principle is it's known issues that we want to highlight, explain in a simple way. Here in EPSC we have a one-pager for each of the 18 process safety fundamentals. This is an example of one of those fundamentals which is speaking about how to manage overrides of safety critical systems. And on this one pager, what you can find is what are the issues, what are the hazards, what are the challenges, and most of all, what can we do in our operations to overcome, to recognize, to manage, to make sure that we do not repeat issues related to bypassing of safety critical systems. Again, one pager, not very complicated, accessible in simple language to be used by everybody in the organization. So again, the key is not let's invent something new, but let's identify the operating task that may or that pose an issue, and we can translate that in some guidance that we will explain in a very simple way. So some characteristics, again, it's nothing new. These principles are known for a very long time. So it's focused on behaviors, on critical tasks. Again, it's the operating part of integrity, the design, construction, maintenance, inspection. These are covered by other programs. Here, with the process safety fundamentals, we will target the operating part of integrity. And it's also to create understanding. Again, the designs we have, especially in Europe, are not the most recent. A lot of our assets were built decades ago. Again, the design, if we would rebuild a refinery today, probably it would be designed a bit differently, because technology is developing, the requirements are also developing. So it means that our operators, we are asking them to operate designs from, let's say, 40 years ago. And that may give some challenges. Challenges that are not always easy to solve. The process safety fundamentals are not there to judge, it's there to be aware of the dilemmas that operators can encounter in our assets, and let them think before to continue. We do not want them, if there is a difficult situation, we do not want them to continue, but to discuss with peers, with managers, with frontline supervisors, What am I doing here? Is this the right way to do? Should I stop and go back and rediscuss? And that's the core, having the discussion. We see that a lot of incidents are happening because people are wanting to continue operations and even confronted with a difficult situation to do it their way, not necessarily be aware of all the hazards involved, and then ending in that tunnel where they end up in an accident because they did not take the time to discuss the issue with colleagues, with frontline managers, to make sure that is this the right way to proceed, knowing that, well, the design is not optimal. So the core is having a discussion, and usually whenever you recognize a dilemma, when you have a discussion, and collectively you find a solution, usually that's enough to stop propagation towards an incident or an accident. Now, we try to visualize that. Again, our minds are visual. It's more like this video, by the way. It's sometimes more easy to explain something in a video than to give a book of 200 pages. The messages are the same, but people will remember longer because our minds are visual. We tend to remember what we see, not always that much what we read. And this is translated in a poster where the process of working with process fundamentals is displayed in a cartoon-like way, where you see the responsibilities not only of operators, but because you might think, okay, there we go again, it's the fault of the operators. No, it's clearly the whole chain that is involved. It's not a responsibility of the operators. It's a collective responsibility. It's people working together, operator with their frontline supervisors, with their managers. If there is a serious issue with the design, to free the budgets to solve critical issues. Of course, we will never rebuild a refinery that entirely that was built in 30 years ago. But if there are critical items, there is a discussion, should we maybe change the design, have a double isolation instead of one isolation, and so forth. So this cartoon-like poster explains the responsibilities, not only of the operator, but also the supervisor, also the manager. So again, it's a teamwork, it's a collective effort. It's not, if something happens, it's not one person that is at the core. It's usually the whole chain that has a role to play. Now, many of you know that we have things like life-saving rules, some call it golden rules, and just to highlight that the process safety fundamentals also a set of rules, but these are completely different things. Life-saving rules are addressing everybody in the organization. These are quite simple rules that in principle everybody can apply, everybody can and should apply. There is even a kind of a zero tolerance policy if you are not following these basic life-saving rules. Well, you could bear the consequences, because usually there is a sanctioning policy and a zero tolerance policy against infringement of life-saving rules. Now, in process safety fundamentals, it's not the same context. It's not, if you do not follow this process safety fundamental, you will bear the consequences, because we know that some situations are difficult to solve, are inherent to the design. So there it's not like in the life-saving rules that everybody can follow, should follow, that you will bear the consequences. There it's an attempt to bring the discussion at higher levels. We know that operators will be confronted with issues that process safety fundamentals tries to resolve. So there it's not at all a matter of sanctioning, it's a matter of let's discuss before to continue. If we have to isolate an equipment and we have only one valve, and we know that valves sometimes are leaking, well, can I continue? If not, what are the compensating measures? And this is something that you cannot solve on your own. It needs a discussion between operators, with frontline managers, with higher level managers. So the context is completely different. These are, well, not even rules, these are principles to be used by operators, and these principles, when are so important, then whenever they are encountered, well, let's have the discussion. It's not an exercise or not a problem of blaming or not blaming. It's there to avoid that people, while wanting to do good, are entering a tunnel where they find a solution that may result in an accident or an incident. So it's in a way stopping this propagation by having a discussion on how to proceed. And so the context is quite different, not to be confused with life-saving rules. Now, I try to visualize this on this slide. So life-saving rules to be applied by everybody in the company. There is in principle, no reason not to follow them. So everybody, regardless of the function, should follow them. Process safety fundamentals, it's a bit more narrow. This is not targeting everybody in the organization. It's targeting people that are in the field working with valves and equipment, so or people that are in operations. And also, it's not a rule set like this life-saving rules where you must follow them. There, the idea behind it is whenever we encounter an issue, as explained in the process safety fundamentals, well, let us not continue. Let's take a step back, pause the work. Let's have a discussion and only proceed whenever everybody agrees that this is the right way to proceed. And again, you will see on this slide, it's not about the operator. It's a collective responsibility. It's the operator together with the frontline supervisor, together with the managers. So there is everybody there has or must play a role to avoid that difficult situations end up in an incident and an accident. And it's important because the 10 or 12 or 15 process safety fundamentals, we know that when we are successful in implementing these, well, we know that we will avoid more than 50% of the incidents related to operations or in our facility. So to kickstart it, of course, attacking 10 fundamentals at the same time may be a bit difficult. Usually what we do is we pick one of the fundamentals and start the work from that principle. Not doing everything at the same time, that may be a bit of a challenge. So to start easy, pick one process safety fundamental, communicate it, make sure that people are aware of it, follow up what are the difficulties in the field, is it working, is it not working, and whenever you find that there is agreement in the organization, it's working, then afterwards you step up a bit. So it's a gradual implementation. I do not know a lot of companies that deployed everything at the same time, so you have to make sure that it's accepted by everybody. So it's not an exercise of here are the process fundamentals, good luck with it. No, it needs a bit of deployment of coaching also. Can make some may need some time to be successful, but we are all convinced that if we are successful in making sure that these fundamentals are deployed and everybody is aware, that it will result in a lower number of incidents, accidents, and lower number of people being injured, and that's of course the core of the exercise. And by this, I've ended my talk. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you very much.